Holy moly. That was Dry Blood.
Man, I was hoping you were going to call me Batman.
Is that what you want me to call you?
Yeah, for the rest of the show, I want you to call me Batman. If you feel like the need to, address me by my real name. I'm Batman.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bloodstreams, the show where we dissect horror movies that you can stream right now. On today's episode, we will be doing a spoiler review of the independent horror film Dry Blood, currently streaming on Amazon Prime. Now, if you haven't seen our Monday episode, pause, open up a link, watch the spoiler-free review, because, I think it's worth it. We put the time in. Anyway, on with the show. Dry Blood. Welcome to our spoiler review of the movie Dry Blood. Holy shnikes, that movie messed me up.
I mean, I think we gave it a lot of kudos
on Monday.
On the Monday episode.
Yeah.
I think the kudos are going to keep flying.
We're getting kudos after kudos after kudos.
So let's break it down. How does it start?
Well, we got Clint Carney playing Brian Barnes. Mm-hmm. He's waking up in his car. He looks very disheveled. Something's up with him, and he ends up calling this girl who we don't hear on the other line, which I really liked, considering how this movie turns out.
This was, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh boy, this thing's really low budget. Like, no. I don't know, there's just not a quality. I don't know how many other ways you could show a dude waking up in a car and getting out and picking up the phone. No. But there's something going on. You just kind of can tell, like, right now, like, okay, this is definitely not...
Yeah, they don't have much to spend on this.
They found an alleyway, they're shooting in it, and they're just, like,
I don't think there were a lot of permits.
No, they're, like, counting down the seconds before the cops show up and shut them down.
Yeah.
It's kind of a... I think about it, it's kind of Gaspar Noe-ish, Irreversible, the camera work in there. It's always kind of moving.
It's always moving. So anyway, he's calling this girl, and he says that he's trying to get clean. So he's a drug addict. He's going up to his cabin. And I think they did a really good job of exposition in this scene of like telling you what this story is going to be about without jamming it down your throat.
Yeah,
it felt very realistic.
It's totally, like, literally... The only thing that's happening in this scene is exposition.
It's telling you what this story is going to be about, but they did it in a way where you don't realize they're doing it.
Right.
And I thought that was really clever.
Not an easy thing to do.
He goes up to his cabin in the woods, which is our setting for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, realistically...
With the general story in and out,
Right, but realistically, there are 2 locations.
Yeah.
2 locations in this entire movie. You know how hard it is to make a movie, to write a movie that only takes place mainly in one place, but like they're like, okay, well, we got to go to the store. We go to the store.
And not only mainly in one place, there's never more than 3 people in a scene.
Yeah.
And most of the movie's 2 people. That ain't easy.
It doesn't sound like rocket science. Like, I could write a script about somebody in a house.
Oh, yeah, Sam. Batman, do it.
Yeah.
Do it, Batman.
I will.
Holy 2-person script, Batman.
It's really not easy. You go like, okay, well, we need, like, I don't know, we need, like, the cops got to show up at some point. Well, how do we get the how do we
cop is so good at this. He gets up there. You can tell that this place hasn't been lived in for a long time because there's white sheets on all the furniture. I love how he just collapses and then uses that white sheet as a blanket and then just passes out for the night. I thought that was like a nice little touch.
Yeah.
This whole movie's got really nice little touches throughout the whole thing.
Like, I agree. Every little device in it, like the first kind of like little device of motivation, like he wakes up and he pulls out like a pack of smokes.
It's like a broken cigarette.
And there's only one broken cigarette.
Which is like such a metaphor for the whole
for
movie.
Him. Yeah.
His whole character is he's the last smoke in a pack and it's broken.
A mangled Marlboro Red.
Yeah, so he goes to this general store where we are introduced to Kelton Jones, who plays the sheriff, and Rob Galuzzo, who is the awesome shopkeeper.
The sheriff, Kelton Jones, also directed the film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's wearing 2 hats.
He's wearing 2 hats. And
his actor hat's really good.
His actor hat is, A, it's like literally a great hat.
No, it's literally a great hat.
And B, he's so good in this
so
movie.
Damn good, dude.
I love how they do these little things where when they're on Clint's coverage, the officer will say something and he'll be like, what? And turn back to the officer and the officer will be like, I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
And this the whole movie you're like, why is he fucking with this guy so bad? And then when you find out that, like, what's actually happening, you're like, ah!
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm jumping ahead of things right here.
But we can do whatever the hell we want. Our show, our rules.
Yeah. You know, the whole reveal, you know, it was in his head the whole time. Like, oh, damn, like, how many times have we seen that? But
never seen it done like this,
but
though.
It really worked.
It really worked. Well, that's what I love, too, is, like, we were talking about in the last episode, the continuity of certain things in certain scenes, and then at the end of this movie, you realize that, like, certain scenes might not have actually taken place when you thought they were taking place.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It was really clever.
How long was he there?
He runs into this sheriff. The sheriff is antagonizing him, being kind of a dick, but also not trusting this new guy on the mountain.
And rightfully so. The dude is
He's
obviously
sketchy
a
as
junkie.
fuck.
Yeah. So he gets home and the phone rings. It's all one-sided
all one-sided conversations except for one sequence
in the movie, which comes later.
Yeah.
But it's all one-sided conversations. His ex-girlfriend or friend from the past is apparently, from what we can tell from his side of the conversation, has received his voicemail and has agreed to come up and help him get sober. Mm-hmm. Right?
Really kind thing to do.
Very kind thing to do. I mean, God, no, my exes wouldn't do that. And you know what? I wouldn't do it for them either. That's a whole nother horror movie. It's a victory for our main character. What happens next?
Then Jamie Valentine shows up.
Right.
And
so does the wig.
So does the wig. And that's when... Yeah. She's trying to help him get clean. They immediately get into an argument, which is I like because that's... I mean, I'm not going to go into too many details, but I've spent some time around some addicts, and... they get very defensive right away.
They're not easy. They're going through a lot, you know. But it's at this point where we kind of discover that maybe there's something more going on. Because what happens is he as he's going to pick her up, he puts on a hoodie and he like pulls he pulls these things out of his pocket. One's like a red ribbon. He just throws it away, discards it, right? Very subtle, because that red ribbon's going to come back in a major way.
Very important red ribbon.
And then in the other pocket, a baggie of fucking drugs.
Yeah.
Indiscriminate, just kind of could be anything. It could be heroin. It could be it could be cocaine.
Yeah, it's weird. His reaction is the same reaction I have when I get to the end of a bag of, like, Sour Patch Kids.
Right.
And I see that dust down at the bottom.
It's like, just throw it away, dude.
Throw it away, dude. Throw it away. You put it in the trash. No, I can save it for later.
And that's exactly what he does. He puts it in a little pot and stashes it away. That's not good for you to be doing, man.
No, it's bad.
You're trying to...
bad addict.
You don't want that little green pot there. You don't want any of that stuff. Anyway, so the girl shows up and she's like, have you been using?
Well, yeah.
Have you used it all this weekend? And he's like, no.
And then comes clean.
He does. There's a little moment in there which, performance-wise, I thought was really, really cool. As he's saying no, he's like adamant. No. He just catches a glimpse of the green jar, and like this literally happens in a half a second, and it's just a little moment of brilliance where he just kind of looks up, going, "I know that's there. I'm not going to do anything about it." Mm-hmm. You know, like it's just like
I'm not gonna tell her.
Yeah, split second, like you could tell, like all this just like guilt just goes, all over him.
Yeah, he's really good in this movie.
But then moments later, he does come clean. He's like, you know what, fuck it. I already lied to you. I'm a bad friend. I do not deserve you. And he goes and he grabs the green pot and he throws it on the floor because he just wants to do drugs, right? But the drugs aren't there.
What's in there?
They're gone. What is on the floor other than just a mutilated, destroyed little green pot, right? Which hopefully wasn't valuable to anybody. There's a red ribbon. Ooh. He's like, do you see this?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, I do. And he's like, so this is real. I'm experiencing it.
Yeah. So then they're starting to let the audience know that he has other problems than just being a drug addict.
At this point, it could be like that he's just DTing so hard that he's seeing things. I mean, I've heard that happens.
Yeah. And we also forgot to mention that he not only has an ex-girlfriend, he's got an ex-wife who he shares ownership of this cabin with, which becomes pretty important later.
That is going to be important. Yeah, we have a couple scenes with the cop too, where he's just
the cop keeps showing up at the house, does not trust him, and he's just cocking him the whole time.
Dick.
He's such a dick.
He's a dick, but you kind of like him because he's just got that smile and he's got that mustache, and you're just kind of like, I don't like you,
but I like you. And then little by little we start getting these like creepy things happening. Like there's a great scene in it where he's talking to Jamie Valentine in the room and he's like, do me a favor, look in the corner of the room and tell me if that's there. And she turns, and you don't really see anything at first, but if you're paying attention, there's a person in the shot the entire time.
Yeah, it's
that just blends in with the wallpaper of the background.
So effing cool.
Oh my god, I love shit like that.
I did. The first time I saw it, I didn't see that guy standing there until he does turn and his eyes are glowing.
And I know they do these like glowing eyes, almost like you would see like when you see a cat at night, or if you take a picture or something.
The cats love it when you stick a flashlight in their eyes. They love it.
You just hold them there, and you.
When they hiss, that means it's the sign of affection.
Like, oh yeah,
give it to me. You're right in the fucking corneas.
They do this little effect, and at first I was like, oh, did they need to do that? But had they not done it, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see it without it because I think maybe the movement of the guy looking.
The head, all he does is a simple head move, and it's terrifying.
It's fucking scary as hell, and super easy to do. It just takes creativity. But could we just talk about the fucking wallpaper for a minute? I mean, this is not something I normally want to talk about.
I love the wallpaper.
Dude, it's such an old lady like wallpaper. And apparently, they shot this at Clint's brother's place.
Yeah.
And I guess he was just he was too lazy to
I don't maybe he liked the aesthetic. He was like, I don't know. He moved in and was like, you know what, I'm going to keep it this way.
Yeah. But there's like a crazy scene in the movie where where Clint like barges into Jamie's room in the middle of the night and he's like freaking out and she comes to his aid and I kid you not, man, she's wearing like a little nightie or a little sweater. It's the exact floral pattern.
The same pattern. I don't know how like if that was on purpose or that it's just like a weird accident.
That floral pattern died in 1962.
Yeah,
it's never to be used
when you're
again.
making a movie of this budget, sometimes wardrobe wise, because you got to get things dirty and stuff, you just go to Goodwill where a lot of the clothes are from the era of that wallpaper.
That's probably what it was, yeah.
So where were we? These creepy things start happening. Brian starts losing it a little bit, understandably so, and then we find out through a really well done speech of his while he's walking with Jamie that he's seen things before he was a drug addict. Yeah. He saw weird things.
This was done really, really well.
And he talks about this one time he hit a deer when he was driving a car, and she's like, well, if you didn't look back, how do you know it's not a deer? And he's like, because there was a man sitting next to me with a deer head. Yeah. And you're like, oh, what?
Wait, back up just to the part with the guy with the deer head.
Yeah,
that's what if I were Jamie's character,
and he's leaning down, and we see this dead deer in the foreground. I love this shot, and then it cuts to the girl's coverage, and when it cuts back to the same shot, it's just this log.
Yeah. And, okay, so what do you guys think? Maybe you know the answer. I don't know the answer. Was that a real dead deer? Because it looked like a real dead deer to me.
I think what it was. I'm not 100% sure. I think they got the head, like a stuffed head that you would put on a wall or something like that, and then put fur around that to make it look, because it's definitely a real deer's head.
But I was going to say, I mean, like if that's a fake,
and then I think they used that same head for this awesome effect they do later with the sheriff's character.
Yeah, all the setups there, but it's really
subtle setup and really strong payoff.
And the payoff is brilliant. Let's start getting towards that payoff, shall we?
Okay, so he starts getting crazy. The sheriff is showing up even more.
Yeah, he's left sunglasses in the house.
So now he's like, he finds out, okay, this sheriff has been going into my house. What the hell? He sees the dead woman in the kitchen. That scare is done really well.
Really well. But that's the one I was talking about.
One little bit in the close-up of the dead woman.
Last episode, like the first time you see her, she's like in the deep background, and the lights are on in the kitchen, and oh my god, her face is CG. because they had to, like, they literally turned her into a skull.
Eyes out and skull.
Yeah,
like.
But that shot's done beautifully because she like turns the lights off and then it's just her silhouette and you're just like, see proof. What you don't see.
You see
is
like
even
a couple
scarier.
frames of this terrifying face and the lights go out and you're like, oh my god, okay, that's a monster.
What you don't see is even scarier. But then he turns around and she's right there.
Right there, and it's like
because
just a couple frames too long.
Yeah, because they milked that shot just a little too long.
Yeah,
it exposes the CG. If you would have just been like a flash, like a, and that's it. Like
that's a place a jump scare would have really worked. But one thing I really like about this movie, there's no jump scares.
No, it's all dread.
It's all dread, and then when it's not dread, it's just straight up horrifying.
Yeah.
There's
Bombarding.
nothing that like pops out at you and does these scary things.
Yeah.
And it's so rare to see a horror movie do that. One of my favorite creepy things they do, and they kind of ruin it by putting it on the poster for this movie, is he sees this headless little girl walking around the
Depends
room.
on the poster you see. I'm not sure what poster they use for on Amazon, but the one on IMDb.
The one on Amazon is the headless girl walking around.
Yeah.
But that's one of the creepiest things in this movie is this little headless girl.
Right now, like horror films, unless they're elevated horror movies, even those
the
ones.
Last episode, you know how I feel about elevated.
Yeah. That's why I said it. It's also like the word moist.
Oh,
can't stand that word. It's weird.
Disgusting.
So many movies today rely on big time effects and jump scares.
Yeah,
and I mean, hey, they're cool. I like
they work. Yeah, it's a roller coaster. Horror movie should be like a good roller coaster.
If you can pull off a good not a cheap
I mean
jump scare.
Lord knows we've had our fair share of jump scares in our short films you can check out on this channel.
One in particular I'm talking about about another beautiful man with a mustache. We've used the jump scares. We did an entire short that
should be called Jump Scare the Short.
It should be called Jump Scare the Short film. Let's get to the third act of this movie. That man, like if you didn't stick around for the third act of this film, you failed.
You gave yourself. It's a major disservice not seeing the last bit of this movie because it's borderline brilliant, I think.
No, it really is. I mean, the payoff is spectacular, and pretty much the entire third act is just one surreal, terrifying event after another.
Yeah, he calls the sheriff because he found the sheriff's sunglasses in there, and this is the only time you hear someone on the other side of the phone. It's the sheriff, and the sheriff's like ha ha ha, and like talking all evil, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
He runs outside, he's looking for her, and he opens the trunk. We don't see what's in the trunk.
Oh yeah, there's this yellow dress that was set up earlier that's kind of coming out. So Brian is going completely insane at this point, and he gets scared by the woman in the kitchen and runs up to the bathroom where Jamie's having a shower.
Right.
And he bursts in on her having a shower, and he's freaking out, and she's like, okay, you're starting to scare me now.
Yeah.
Get out of this bathroom while I'm naked.
Yeah.
And we can talk about this afterwards.
And he was like, honestly, I kind of like you better when you're naked.
He goes downstairs, and he's really, really losing it.
And he finds the drugs.
Finds the drugs that were set up earlier, and he ends up doing them.
Yeah.
And
from here on out, it just goes. From here on out,
it's just he does the drugs, and then the sheriff. I love the shot because there's like this empty window door, like French door, behind him, and it's just black outside, and he's like starting to freak out, and you see the sheriff come out of the darkness and stand up against the window. That.
It's not a boo scare. He very, very much slowly walks into frame, and all he does is fucking stand in a light, and it's scary.
And then when we see what Brian is seeing, the sheriff is sitting across from him at the table, but with this deer head, and he plays like spin the bottle with the knife.
With the knife,
with a butcher knife, and where the butcher knife lands is pointing back to the bathroom where the girl.
Right, and he's like, no, not her,
no.
That's when he goes upstairs, and she's mute, and she's like,
and she's just been totally mutilated.
A lot of blood.
No, that's not what happens. No. We're mixing it up.
Yeah,
he goes outside before that.
It gets confusing because again, this movie is
jumping time.
Yeah, it jumps time, and it's all in one place, so you can't remember like which part happens. Like sometimes it's nighttime.
He
sometimes
ends up
it's
seeing
daytime.
the yellow dress sticking out of the car,
and that's when we see what's in the hood.
He opens it, and there's flies and stuff in there.
Yeah.
We don't see what's in there.
Yeah. And
the sheriff shows up.
Right.
And the sheriff's like, what are you doing? And he's like, how could you do this? Insinuating that the sheriff did this to the girlfriend.
I'm getting confused. Damn you, Clinton Kelton.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Because I could have sworn he was up there because the knife pointed up there.
Yeah, you would think that. But remember...
Oh, yeah. You're right.
So
right.
the sheriff chases him inside where I'm like, okay, Kelton, you're breaking some laws here. I know you are the law. I am the law.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're the sheriff, but like when a dude runs into his own house, you can't just chase him after him with a shotgun.
But you know what? That's what I would do.
Yeah, so he chases after him with a shotgun, and they do this little fun hide-and-seek moment that ends with them struggling over the gun, and the sheriff gets shot in the face with a shotgun.
Face with a shotgun.
And this effect, like, is so disturbing. It's so realistic. Like, his bottom half of his face is missing. He can't breathe. He's struggling on the floor. And what I love about what they did with this is most filmmakers, even us, would be like, you got to cut before this. They just stay on this shot of the sheriff struggling to breathe and him and Brian just sitting there with him.
And he's like saying, like, stop, shut up, you're not allowed to cry.
And
I'm like, excuse me, he just lost his fucking mandible.
I cry over a lot less.
You would cry too if it happened to you.
There goes our monetization. We stay with the sheriff as we just watch him breathe his last breaths, and it's so disturbing. And then he goes upstairs and sees the girlfriend in the bathroom, and she's been completely mutilated.
At this point, it's a bloodfest, man.
It's like they destroyed Clint's brother's cabin.
He must have showed up and been so pissed.
She's still like slightly alive, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna get you to the hospital." And he pulls off this amazingly realistic performance of someone who's panicking in that situation.
Freaking out, dude.
And she ends up dying, and someone shows up at the house.
Right. I mean, you're like, wait, what?
Like, who? And it's this woman.
And a really, like, annoyingly preppy, like, gorgeous
and then
husband.
we're like, oh, shit, that's the ex-wife.
Yeah.
And he's walking down the stairs all covered in blood. He's like, I'm coming down. I'll be down on me. He's got blood everywhere. And then it cuts to the wife, and she's like, you got to let me know when you're up here so we don't run into each other like this. And when they cut back to Clint, he's got no blood on him. You're like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, not even dry blood.
Not even dry blood.
It's
and
blood.
we do a little bit of exposition of how the wife and his relationship worked, and you can see why they got divorced. And he ends up going crazy and smashing her head in with the butt of a whiskey bottle, I think it is.
Yeah.
That effect is, oh my god,
really good. The two actors, Clint and
we didn't write her name down.
But she
ex-wife,
like he just turns and freaking hits her with the bottom, and it looked like they performed it so well. Like her timing,
it reminded me kind of that shot from Pan's Labyrinth with the flashlight towards the beginning when the bad guy like, smashes him in the face with the butt of the flashlight.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. But like the timing, it looked so real.
It was so good,
and there's no cuts or anything.
Then she goes down, and he starts bashing her again, and then turns the bottle upside down, sticks the thin end of the bottle into her mouth, and then stomps down on it, crushing her head and all that stuff. Like, holy shit.
It's really, really kind of
ex-wife's dead, preppy husband runs down, they get into a fight, and the motherfucking Clint stabs this dude in the face with a huge knife. It's so disturbing seeing a knife in someone's face like that.
I'm just thinking, like, man, that's a good knife. It's a Ginsu knife. They can cut through a can just like it's a tomato.
And a face.
And a freaking jaw.
Oh, and we forgot to mention the most disturbing part is when the couple shows up, they have their 10-year-old daughter.
They have the 10-year-old daughter with them.
Who has a red hairband.
A hair ribbon, yeah.
Red
ribbon. It's coming back. As Dad's got a knife stuck in his face, little girl shows up.
She comes downstairs.
And she was supposed to be in bed, but she's got this like really pretty dress on, and her hair's still up in her. But you know what? At this point, we're nuts.
Fuck it.
We're nuts, right? We're nuts at this point. She could be sleeping. I don't know. She could be sleeping in an elephant costume. Doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. As long as there's a red ribbon, because that's important.
So she runs up to hide, obviously, because someone's going a little crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to say, like, and this is a big kudos to Clint, but like he literally. I think he gave Jack Nicholson a run for his money as far as somebody who like just breaks down,
who just snaps
and stays there. Once you think he's reached 100%, he manages to find a way to go to 110%, and then he goes to 115, and then to 120.
Just keeps going, but it's not overdoing it.
But it's not overdoing it somehow, and he just keeps going there. And this is like the full finale of the film. He corners the little girl, and with the same knife that he killed the dad with, and it's also a knife that we found earlier in the film we forgot to mention. It's caked in dry blood.
That's the title.
He manages to saw the little girl's head off, and
and that scene is so. That's another time where they focus a little too much on one of the shots. That's not CG, it's a great practical effect,
Yeah.
but because they focus on it for so long...
Yeah, unfortunately, they couldn't get what's her name, little Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. You know, like the girls, the most kids aren't great actors.
Well, no,
actresses.
what I'm talking about is the shot of there's an actual shot of the fake head. When
There's fake head, but there's also
a little too long.
There's also a shot on like the little girl's face, and then you just go,
editing-wise, what they did right, though, is they stay mostly on Clint, who's giving the performance of a lifetime while he's sawing a little girl's head off.
And I talked to him about them. I think you were there about when he made that, and I guess they used her like they shot all of her stuff like first, right? Yeah. And because if she had been there for the off camera for the coverage, she would have. Yeah, I mean, she'd be a heroin addict eventually. She would have, she would have been completely traumatized. But yeah, they did all the girl stuff first, and then he did that entire performance
to the fake head,
to the fake bloody head,
he's so good.
Yeah,
he's so good in that scene. And then so the kick, so you find out that he actually, all of this stuff, all these ghosts, all of this creepy stuff is actually the past. It's not supernatural at all. He killed everyone. He's in this like weird cycle, and the way they end the movie is so fucking badass. I love the end where we end it right the same way we started. He's in his car, waking up. He has the same phone call, but then the camera goes in on the trunk, and we see through the trunk for a second, and it's Jamie Valentine's rotting body is in the trunk of the car.
Right.
And she's been there the whole movie.
And then, like, one of the best shots of the film, which was totally by accident.
Oh, yeah.
It's just luck.
Pulls right back away.
Pulls right back. As he gets in the car and he's pulling up the train.
The train
in the background.
Yeah. That's just, like, free production value. Because they did not get permits to shoot in that little alleyway or wherever they were. But I love that they're like, oh shit, and she's really rotted, so she's been in this trunk a long time, and it shows that he's been going through this cycle a long time.
Yeah, it makes me think, because there's one moment like earlier on in the film before she actually shows up where we see a rotted woman. I can't remember where it is in the bathroom. It's in the bathroom. Okay, yeah, and she's got that wig on, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking like maybe
it
now
had to
like
have been her.
Maybe that's why they had her have this wig. But that's one of my biggest problems with this movie is this damn wig. Yeah, just looks so bad.
It looks like a wig because good wigs are really expensive.
Good wigs are really expensive. They're not easy, and you actually need somebody to help apply them to make them look really good. But I think there must be a reason. But I think if they would have just said like fuck it, like let's give the corpse a bad wig.
Yeah. Honestly, though, for a movie where our only complaint is one of the actors isn't good and she's wearing a bad wig, that's the only complaint I have of this movie.
It's really my only complaint either.
I strive to make a movie with as little complaints from the audience.
Right. I strive to be able to do a cabin in the woods type of movie with three people and make it as entertaining.
Original.
The old Samuel Goldwyn quote, right, where he's like, what's that movie? That's a movie that's doing really well. Yeah, okay, I want that, but make it different.
Yeah, same but different.
Give me the same but different, right? And so he took like these tropes, the story that's been told, quite honestly, like ad nauseum, kind of, right? Mm-hmm. It all happened in his head, and it's someone what was the Evil Dead reboot? Was essentially the same kind of like story getting into it, where like
going to the cabin to get clean,
we've seen it before, but it doesn't matter. He took stuff that we've seen and we know, and he put his own unique spin on it. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really good. That's what I want to be able to do.
A very original movie. It's pretty crazy.
I want to be able. We've tried, and we've not been able to successfully even write a movie that just takes place in a cabin with like three people, and it's good. Yeah, right. Like you don't run into like, God, don't we need a jet ski chase? Wouldn't we? We could do that, right? No, we don't. We can't do that. We got to stay in the cabin.
That gives me a really good idea. Don't say anything more about jet ski chases. That was Dry Blood, currently streaming on Amazon Prime. I suggest you turn your phone off, get off the toilet, because we know you're watching this while pooping. And honestly, it's been a very long time, and it's not healthy to stay on the toilet that long.
You get hemorrhoids, but I'll tell you what, I'm guilty of the same thing. And this show's actually really good for it.
Oh, it's the perfect toilet show.
It's a great
I want to get a poster made that says, Bloodstreams, the perfect toilet show.
Get on it, dude. I support it.
Yeah, although if you are on the toilet and you see blood streams in a different way, it's either a popped internal hemorrhoid or you need to go to the doctor
Oh,
real
you got
badly.
problems, girl. I don't know. If it's a
You
girl.
in danger, girl.
You in danger, girl.
Molly, you in danger, girl. All right, so as you saw in the last episode, 8.5, 8.5. We both really, really love this movie, so I suggest you watch it. I think it's time for an outro.
It is time for an outro, but you know what? I'm not gonna get up. I'm not gonna go over there. All this is just gonna get pushed out of the way. You're gonna get behind the camera. You're gonna go 3, 2, and then I'm gonna do it.
That's not how this works.
Well, great. We spoiled it again. That was the spoiler review for Dry Blood. Hope you liked it. Hope you saw the movie and were able to have your own, one-sided conversation while watching us spoil and have a conversation about this movie. And I hope you enjoyed every second of it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and murder that notification bell. Just ring it by the neck, all right? So that you know the next time we have an episode, which, judging by my calculations, we should have a new episode by Monday. Until then, I'll see you in your nightmares. Is there a bug?